that somebody is reading his emails?
Sort of. I mean, these were emails exchanged during the transition. These were all released to the special counsel, Robert Mueller, by the General Services Administration. Now a lawyer for Trump is raising questions about whether that was appropriate. But this is all secondary to the much larger question here, McGraw, and that is the president going to fire Robert Mueller? Now, he said over the weekend he was not intending to do that, but anybody who thinks that's the final word has not been paying attention. I mean, this is a man who has proven again and again and again how impulsive he can be, how he can be influenced by outside forces, and there is a rising chorus, a rising demand on Fox News from Sean Hannity, Laura Ingraham, and others, demanding that Mueller be fired. We know the president listens to Fox News. We know he takes political cues from those commentators. And so there's a war going on because there are demands from Mueller's head. At the same time, there's no doubt that the president's own lawyers understand what a disaster it would be. I'm sure they agree with Karl Rove, the Republican strategist, who said over the last week in the Wall Street Journal that if Trump were to fire Mueller, it would cause, and I'm quoting directly, a conflagration that would consume Trump's presidency. I think that's true. But this president, the one constant we know about this man, McGraw, is his unpredictability.
If you game this out, not 6 steps later, but 1 step later, if you fire Robert Mueller, you create a nuclear option, but they'll just hire somebody else to continue the work of Robert Mueller. So you don't gain anything. All you do is create more controversy.
Well, I think you don't gain anything and you probably lose something because, as Karl Rove said quite succinctly in this Wall Street Journal piece, the first, second, and third question everybody would have is, what is the president trying to hide? He would only fire Mueller if he felt threatened. He would only fire Mueller if he felt that this investigation was getting too close. So it's easy to make the Watergate comparison. I think you've got to be very cautious in doing that. But we do know from history that when a president acts this way, one of the effects could be to alienate supporters in his own party who are committed to the rule of law and who don't think a president is above the law. And I think a lot of Republicans, his own lawyers, as well as Republicans on Capitol Hill, would be very dismayed if he were to move in this direction. But the drumbeat from Fox News continues, even in the face of that.
Yeah, I don't think Fox News is doing him any favors by doing that for all the reasons we just talked about. What about pardoning Michael Flynn?
Well, look, it's very clear that the president has almost total power, total right under the Constitution to pardon anybody he wants. And but just because you have the right to do something doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. Right thing to do morally, right thing to do politically. I do think that down the line, this president could well pardon Michael Flynn. He could well pardon other people who have been either indicted by already by Robert Mueller or who might be caught up in this investigation. We saw this happen with the Iran-Contra affair, where Ronald Reagan pardoned a whole series of his former aides who were indicted and convicted after Iran-Contra. So there is a precedent for that. But you pay a political price for that. The real vulnerability this president has is not the charges of collusion. As he said in the clip you paid, there's no collusion. And collusion, by the way, is not a crime. The real political and legal vulnerability for the president is the obvious one, which is perjury and obstruction of justice. The indictments and the guilty pleas that Mueller has extracted, McGraw, has not been for collusion with Russia. It's for impeding the investigation into collusion. That's where the president is most vulnerable. And firing someone like Mueller adds to the notion that he's trying to obstruct the investigation, and that's his biggest risk here.
Did I read, I got about 30 seconds, Stephen Roberts, did I read where Mueller is going to meet with Trump's lawyers here soon?
Yes, I read that too, and I think that's appropriate. In any investigation like this, the investigator owes the lawyers an update, owes them a full accounting of saying this is where our investigation is, this is who the targets are, this is the evidence we've gotten so far. So this would be appropriate legal action on both sides for these people to continue talking. It's the only fair way for an investigator to go forward, to keep the targets of the investigation.
Like to be a fly on the wall for that meeting, wouldn't you?
Yes, sir.
All right, Stephen Roberts, have a good day. Thanks for checking in.